Today on the Bangers and Mesh Says podcast, we're going to be talking about how I suck at accents, a scandal for podcast advertising, my experiences on TikTok, and other stuff too, so go ahead and stick around. We are going to start with the quote-unquote scandal surrounding podcast advertising, and this stems from an article that Bloomberg just published this last week. I will link it in the episode notes and description in case you want to read a little bit more. The bottom line, there are podcasts, whether they be independent solo shows or whether they be entire podcast networks or platforms, they are paying for downloads. They are paying for plays. The way they're accomplishing this is through mobile game advertisements. My understanding is a mobile game advertisement will pop up and force you to watch for X seconds prior to clicking out of it, or maybe there will even be a call to action that you have to click on to get some kind of in-game goodie. And surprise, surprise, there are some companies out there that realized, hey, we could use this to generate new listeners. Or more likely, we could use this to inflate our download statistics or our play statistics or our listen statistics. And what this article is disclosing or uncovering is that podcast networks, and as I mentioned, independent podcasts as well, are utilizing this to inflate their downloads, to inflate their plays. And in the article, they explain a little bit more in depth how this works. And apparently it is working through dynamically inserted ads. The way those work is when somebody clicks download a show, or maybe it's even when a show is loaded, when it is streamed or played online, when that button is clicked, ads get dynamically inserted at that moment. And if the dynamic ad is added at 15 minutes and at least 15 minutes of the show is downloaded or loaded through the streaming service, then that advertisement is going to be marked as delivered for that advertiser, for that sales team. They are going to say, we delivered your ad to one listener, to one person. They heard your ad, or they are likely to have heard your ad. Now, to me, this seems like incredibly sketchy and dishonest behavior, and because of that, I want to know who used this service, who adopted this methodology for inflating their numbers. Lucky for us, Bloomberg decided to list just a few of the companies or individuals they saw using it. It doesn't appear that this is an exhaustive list, but they mention iHeartMedia, they mention New York Post, and they mention an independent podcaster. That's right at the very top of the article. At the very bottom of the article, they mention, I found this funny. They didn't include this at the very beginning, but at the end, they did disclose this. They mentioned they saw a Bloomberg podcast using this service. They're reporting that they themselves have used this to inflate numbers, and that in turn led to they didn't disclose it, hey, this led to advertisement sales, but they did disclose, hey, yeah, we saw one of our own podcasts using this. Whoopsie doopsie. And all of these podcast companies and individual podcasters used a group called Jun Group or Yun Group, Jun Group, and they charge $27 for 1,000. I don't know if it's ad impressions. I don't know if it's actions taken up on an ad, but $27 for 1,000, let's say, impressions. And according to this article, iHeart, or iHeartMedia, has gained approximately 6 million unique listeners per month through these advertisements since 2018. So let me change what I said. I said impressions, let's say unique listeners. $27 for 1,000 unique listeners. Let's do a bit of quick math. 6 million, let's divide that by 1,000. That's how many buckets of CPM they are getting every single month. Now let's assume they are just getting advertisements for the exact CPM that they are paying for those 1,000 views. What I mean, typically for a business, they would say it's costing us X dollars to get this product. Let's increase the price and sell it so we can make a profit. Let's assume they're not doing that. Let's assume they're paying $27 for 1,000 listens, and they are just turning around and saying, hey, if you want your ad in front of 1,000 people, give us $27. That's what we're assuming. So 6 million divided by 1,000 gives us 6,000. 6,000 times $27 gives us $162,000 a month. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I don't know about you, but I cannot imagine a single advertiser who would be okay, who would think, do you know how I want to spend $162,000 every month? I want to throw that much money at paid downloads. Downloads where I don't imagine anybody will ever hear our ad. Seems like a good way to spend money to me. I can't imagine a single advertiser saying that, thinking that, or being that way. I think a lot of advertisers right now are probably pretty gall-darn ticked off. Wouldn't you imagine throwing $162,000 down the drain? That would be pretty darn infuriating. Now, it is possible that I am misunderstanding how these mobile game advertisements work and what a mobile advertisement is, because I only play solitaire. And other than that, I haven't played a mobile game since 1923 because I play solitaire on my phone. I only think me and grandmothers play solitaire on their phone, but that's the only mobile game that I have. But I would be curious to know what is required with these mobile advertisements. Does it require the gamer? I know some people are going to be ticked off that I call them gamers. They're not actually gamers. I know they don't have a console or a massive PC with a $10 million graphics card. I get it. But what does the individual playing the mobile game, I think that was fair, what do they have to do? Does the audio automatically play? Do they have to click the play button? Do they have to download it? Do they have to click download? Then it opens up their podcatcher on their device and downloads the show? Is there any actual percentage complete metric? How is this calculated? How is this measured? That's what I want to know. Unfortunately, therein lies the problem. Or the benefit. Podcasting, or the vast majority of podcatchers, don't have this level of tracking capable. Apple Podcasts does, but I don't think any others do. At least not that I'm aware of. I don't think many podcatchers, if any other than Apple Podcasts, will report back to the distributor of your show, the RSS feed, say, hey, viewer or listener 1 finished 17% of the show. Your advertisement was at 20%, no ad view. I don't think anybody does that, again, other than Apple Podcasts. So it's pretty much unknowable. And that's the great thing about podcasting. It's pretty anonymous as far as listenership. You don't know anything about your listeners, and that's amazing. But that's really the story. What do I think will be done with this? I think there is going to be a lot of pressure on IAB to update their standards to try to limit this behavior, because this behavior seems very scamish. Inflated view numbers, inflated download numbers, inflated listener numbers. Advertisers are not going to be happy with that. If you don't know, IAB, that is Interactive Advertising Bureau, they have been really pushing to standardize podcasting analytics to make it more reliable for advertisers. So I think they are going to be the body that gets a lot of pressure to resolve this, to adjust how they measure analytics to avoid counting this type of download or listen as a legitimate listen or download. I also think this will potentially lead to some pullback on advertising spending for podcasts. I don't think this would be on the level of a YouTube adpocalypse. I don't think it'll be that bad, but I think there will be some pullback on spending. But to be a little bit of devil's advocate, couldn't this potentially just increase CPMs? Let me walk you through my logic here. If Company X was paying $20 for 1,000 views, 1,000 listens to that ad, and they were happy with the results they were getting. Hey, we're paying $20 for 1,000 downloads. We like that we're earning $30 from those ads. But in reality, they were only getting in front of 500 people for that $20. They're still happy with the results. Nothing has changed other than the numbers that are being presented to them, the download numbers. So wouldn't that, in theory, once the analytics are corrected, once this type of inflated download number is removed, wouldn't that in turn mean that CPM ought to be $40? Because they really were paying a $40 CPM before, but they thought they were paying a $20 CPM. Just to be a little bit of just a different approach of thinking about it. That could be a positive. Maybe you'll just get crazy high CPMs now. Probably not. But logically, that seems to check out for me. If they were happy with what they were getting before, something to think about. Something else that I wanted to address is how is this different from YouTube? Because I do both, podcasting and YouTube. The first and the biggest difference is the CPM rates. At least a $27 CPM for ads on podcasting is crazy. That is so high. On YouTube, it's an amazing day if we get CPMs of $4. They're getting at least $27. Otherwise, they wouldn't be paying $27 for 1,000 downloads. Because they're not going to pay $27 to get 1,000 downloads if they're only earning $22 off downloads. CPM rates are crazy different. Secondly, YouTube's dynamically inserted ads have direct and exact tracking on them. You can't really game that. You can't falsify a view of an advertisement. YouTube knows who is watching, how long they're watching, did they click on anything, where was their mouse, did they have the window. They know everything about the ad being displayed. So that's another big difference. They actually have in-depth analytics. And thirdly, for host-read ads, they may be able to buy views and inflate their numbers, but that is a direct violation of YouTube's TOS and could very easily lead to your entire channel being deleted. So they have active measures where they are tracking people, and if they notice any kind of illegitimate action or illegitimate traffic, they will remove that and maybe even delete your account. Those are the big differences that I see between podcast advertising and YouTube advertising. Since everything on YouTube is handled on YouTube, they know exactly what's going on. They have measures to try to mitigate that kind of fraudulent behavior, illegitimate traffic, which is probably going to lead to more faith from the advertiser. Which is weird because you would think with more faith and legitimacy to the views and downloads and all of that, we would get higher ad rates, but we get less than 25% of what the podcasting host-read inflated numbers ad reads get. I guess it's because it isn't host-read on YouTube. That's probably a big differentiating factor. I don't know what host-read ads are supposed to get. I've only done 2 in my entire 7 or 8, is it 8 years? 7 years running the Podcastage channel. I don't know. I don't know what that actually is. But for the dynamic inserted ads, it's certainly nowhere near $27. I'm going to link 2 things in the episode notes, the Bloomberg article and then the IAB standards. In case you want to read that, it's the podcast measurement guidelines. That's it for the news. I want to share my experiences with TikTok because this is interesting to me. This is very interesting what has happened. I have had zero desire to make short-form content. Nothing that really appealed to me about that style of content. YouTube, however, has different plans for the platform. They have been pushing this so heavily. They've emailed. I have multiple YouTube channels with different emails. I receive 5 or 6 emails at a time. Hey, you should try making shorts. Hey, here are some shorts methods that you should adopt. In the creator dashboard, everywhere, make short form content, make shorts, make shorts, make shorts. And they invest money heavily into shorts. Because of that, they even had, I should have screenshotted this, they even added a card in the creator dashboard. Hey, we've noticed that people who make shorts are growing much better than people who don't. And I've just been seeing growth decrease, so they're just saying, hey, idiot, make shorts. We want you to make shorts, shoving it down your throat. So I gave in. I decided, hey, I'll give it a shot. Let's try it. And I have found myself kind of enjoying making the short form content. It's really challenging. That's something that I wasn't expecting. If you're trying to make it educational at all or complete at all, it is excruciatingly difficult to get a fully fledged and complete educational idea out in 60 seconds. You're down to the editing minutia of frames because you have to get to 59 seconds and no more because YouTube will add an additional second to your video, which puts you over the threshold. So it has been challenging, but kind of exciting. But all of that to say this, YouTube has been pushing us to make shorts so much that I finally gave in. It's additional time that I had not budgeted for before, and because of that, it's additional work. I want to get the most out of that time as I possibly can. What do I mean by that? I'm not just going to upload the short to YouTube. Sorry, YouTube. I didn't want to do this. You forced me to. You're trying to force every creator to do it. Or entice them to do it. So I started uploading, yes, to YouTube Shorts, to Twitter, to Instagram, and yes, to the dreaded TikTok. I will open an incognito browser, I will use a VPN, I will sign on, upload, and sign out. I've been doing this for maybe 3 weeks at this time, and I had uploaded nothing but me just throwing boxes. I don't think I said much at all. I did that for maybe 3 months. Every week I would upload just the snippet from my review of throwing boxes. There were a few that got 700 views, 800 views. I think maybe one of them cracked 1,000 views. But over the last 3 weeks or so, my TikTok uploads of my shorts were averaging 50 to 150 views. Yesterday, which was the 1st of October, I uploaded my video discussing the condom on a microphone that broadcaster had, and I demoed it. I checked it after a few hours. It had 50 views, then a couple hours later it had 150 views, and then I was in voice chat last night. I opened up TikTok again, and I thought there was some kind of bug. I thought there was some kind of issue, and I refreshed. It jumped from 150 views to 10,000 views. I checked this morning and it was nearly at 30,000 views. And therein lies the appeal of TikTok. That affirmation, that addiction, that dopamine hit. And that's why all of this social media stuff is so dangerous, because you become addicted to that. But that's my experience, just out of nowhere. I don't have a lot of followers, which is one of the people who submitted a comment, or maybe it was an email a couple of weeks ago, was talking about how on YouTube, if you don't have a following, you can't grow. On TikTok, I don't have a following. I was getting 100 views per upload. And I had 75 followers. Somehow this one got 30,000 views. So all I have to say is, If YouTube had not been trying to become TikTok so much, I never would have actually begun uploading my videos to TikTok because I didn't have the time. But because my main platform is YouTube and they are focusing so heavily on shorts, I started making shorts. But I'm not just going to upload them to YouTube. But if I never started uploading to TikTok, I never would have experienced that little surge, that shocking surge of how beneficial or how powerful that algorithm on TikTok can be for discoverability for a content creator. Just blows my mind. Went from 100 to 10,000. I shouldn't say you never. You very rarely will ever see that type of growth on YouTube, or at least I have not experienced that type of growth on YouTube. On YouTube, when I uploaded that short, I think it has about 5.6 thousand views, and I have nearly 300,000 subscribers. Keep that in mind. 300,000 subscribers, my short, under 10,000 views. On TikTok, 75 followers, 30,000 views. On YouTube, that short lost me subscribers. On TikTok, it grew me followers. Just fascinating how the same content behaves so differently on the different platforms. It could be that on YouTube, my audience, the people who subscribe to the channel, just are not interested in it. On TikTok, they're finding the people who are interested in it and are giving it to them. Distributing the content. They're not giving it to them, although maybe they are. I don't know. That's my experience. Just wanted to share it because it's fascinating. Now let's talk about what I've been testing. You have been listening to it. If you're watching, you have been staring at it for the last 30 minutes as well because it's an eyesore. Maybe not an eyesore, but it draws your attention. It is the Logitech. Yeah, it's the Logitech Blue Sona. Logitech has an XLR dynamic microphone. Not only that, it's a $350 microphone from the makers of webcams with the worst sounding microphones ever. Comes a $350 dynamic microphone with a cloud lifter style amplifier in it. It's an active dynamic, so it takes 48 volts, doesn't require 60 dB of gain. Never thought I would say that either. Just crazy. This is a Logitech microphone. But then you need to remember, I needed it to remember Logitech bought Blue a couple of years ago, 2017, 2018, which is why it's the Logitech Blue Sona. It's right in the name, Bandrew, you big old dummy. And I am quite shocked by this. I am quite shocked by this. This microphone sounds way better than I ever thought it could because it has that Logitech name on it. I was expecting a dumpster fire. A dumpster fire it is not. I do have the microphone in the neutral mode, so I do not have the EQ switches engaged. Yes, this thing also has EQ switches. It has an active preamp inside of it. It has a low cut filter and a presence boost. I'm not going to turn them on. Watch the review. It'll come out on Tuesday. Yeah, this is the mic that's coming up next. All right. That's for what I've been testing. That's my experiences on TikTok, and that's the news. Now let's talk about what you had to say. First comment comes from, oh gosh, this name's hard to say. Bujakashka. Sorry about that. Totally butchered your name. They say, hey, bang, bang, Drew. Regarding reflections, you could project or beam your screen to a white piece of PET wool sound treatment with an ultra short throw projector. Got an old Hitachi for 100 USD. PET is my favorite kind of treatment. Bujakashka, thank you so much for leaving this comment. This may be one of the greatest ideas I have ever seen in a comment section. I unironically love this idea. One of the biggest issues I have is reflections off of my computer monitor. So why not get a short throw projector and broadcast my screen or project my screen onto a piece of sound treatment, completely eliminating any kind of reflections. I adore this idea. I'm in the mode where I'm not replacing electronics that aren't broken. So I won't be doing this until my computer dies and I get a new computer that doesn't have a built-in screen. It's an iMac. I need this. I need to do this. One concern I do have: projectors have fans and they can be quite noisy. I have not done any research into ultra short throw projectors. Do they have fans? Are they loud? Is there one that is fanless that is incredibly quiet and high enough resolution to make that a viable option? This may be a groundbreaking idea. I love this. I love this so much. Bujakashka, thank you again. I am 100% going to do this in the future. Nobody steal this idea. I want to do it first. Because I'm in that method where that mode where I don't replace stuff that's not broken. I'm totally opening myself up. Somebody else is going to do it and get 1 billion views on YouTube. Oh well. All right. Next comment comes from Sick Jake. He says, "We don't talk about money, but content creators should. I don't expect you to list a breakdown in a public video or anything, but overall, creators should be more open what they are making, charging, sponsorships with one another to understand the industry and whether they are being treated fairly by sponsor/companies. Anyway, just my take. Love the episode as always." Sick Jake, thank you very much for the comment. I really do appreciate it, and I agree with you. I think it is a good idea for content creators to get together, to share their thoughts, to understand what the marketplace is, to understand what fair payment is, to understand what an appropriate agreement is. The reason I don't discuss this kind of stuff with other creators, I don't really run ads. I don't do host-read ads. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I have done 2 advertisements on my channel over 7 years. Well, I guess more than that. 2 advertising campaigns, quote unquote. One was a standalone ad for Sweetwater. The other was a series of 5 ads for Antlion Audio. Enunciate, Bandrew. Those are all that I've done. As far as relationships with companies, as far as disclosures, as far as agreements, my approach to that has been be as transparent as possible. I have all of that disclosed publicly, published. Podcastage.com/disclosure. It's linked in, I think, every single one of my review videos in the description. I share my review disclaimers and disclosures that companies must agree to prior to me agreeing to work with them. I disclose what I have received free of charge, at a discount, or loaned. That's pretty much all that I am able to do. That's all that I have to offer. There's nothing else that I can tell any other content creator that will give them any value other than that. Hey, here's what I make companies agree to before they send me anything. If they don't agree to this, I won't accept anything. If I don't accept it from them, if enough people want me to review something, I will buy it with my own money. If I did host-read ads, then sure, yeah, disclose that. If you have some kind of brand partnership where you're manufacturing stuff with them, with your logo on it, maybe. Yeah, disclose that. Understand the marketplace, get feedback from others who have experience in that arena. I don't do any of that stuff. There you go. That's all that I've got in response. I don't discuss it because I don't do it. Hopefully that was interesting. Podcastage.com/disclosure. I do need to update my list of what I've received because I have not done that. I disclose, this is above and beyond what's required, by the way. I disclose in the videos what I've received free of charge, at discount, or whatever. This is just something that I completely forgot to update when I get new stuff. Okay. Next comment comes from Joel. He says, I have thought a lot about the topic of things being quote-unquote free and the topic of convenience. They are different topics, but heavily related. You can definitely see that when it comes to human behavior in general, we never like to have something that was free suddenly become no longer free. And on the flip side of conversation, in general, humans will almost always pick convenience over anything else. I saw it all the time working in IT. Security and privacy is something that has been proven time and time again to be completely thrown out if it means that it makes someone's life just a little bit more complicated to do whatever it is they are trying to do. In regards to this conversation, people will inevitably be upset if they are forced to watch an ad when in the past they were able to skip it, etc. And they would also be upset if YouTube suddenly started charging a subscription or anything along those lines because it used to be quote-unquote free in their mind. My opinion is that the cost of paying for YouTube Premium is worth it to avoid all of this, but I think that many people see YouTube as something that is free and are not willing to pay any money even though, like you mentioned, in reality, YouTube isn't free and is funded by ads. Joel, thank you very much for the comment. I just so happen to agree with you completely. That could be because of my history with YouTube, though. Prior to YouTube existing, if I wanted to publish a video on the internet, I had to pay for the server space, I had to pay for the bandwidth, and I had to figure out how to embed that. I had to figure out the whole player situation and get that to work. When YouTube rolled out, I started uploading in 2005. Free video hosting, no bandwidth costs, and the player just works, I am 1,000,000% on board, and I saw the money that I saved from no longer having to pay for server space or bandwidth costs. They didn't have ads initially. YouTube didn't have a bunch of ads before every single video initially. But when they did start to roll out ads, I said, yeah, that makes sense. This used to cost me a bunch of money. I don't have to pay for that anymore. They need to make some money. I am perfectly okay with that. And recently, I came to the realization this is something that I've heard a lot of people say. If you are not paying for a product, you are the product. So there has been this progression in my thought process. Initially, oh my gosh, look at how much money I am saving. I no longer have to pay for that. I am happy to watch advertisements to fund this service that I find so valuable that saves me money. Oh, now I can bypass any ads and give them money directly. Absolutely, I will do that because this service has saved me so much money, because this service offers me so much value. Absolutely. And I don't have to see ads. Even better. And then there's the privacy, security, all of that. That's where I have progressed. If you are not paying for a product, you are the product. If you are not paying for premium, if you are not giving money to whatever company, and you are receiving a product, YouTube videos, YouTube in general, is a product. If you are not paying for a product, you are the product. So I opt to pay for it. I get the benefit of no ads. I get the benefit of giving a higher percentage of that money to the content creator. Win-win-win. YouTube gets more money, content creator gets more money, I get more of my time back. It's a beautiful, beautiful agreement. I love it. Thank you very much, Joel. I appreciate you and agree with you completely. Next, we have a comment from Patrick, and he says, when using an internet-connected device such as a mobile phone, tablet, or PC, we know we can effectively block advertisements, which is not the case concerning TV, satellite, or cable services. This is the psychological difference between our expectations when it comes to acceptable advertising. If we could block it on the aforementioned services, we would, and our expectations would then collectively change. Edit. I personally watch all advertisements. I do not use ad blockers. If I subvert a commercial, I just hit skip button physically. Patrick, thank you very much for the comment. I think that is a great point. I had not considered the fact that there is the expectation and knowledge that we can bypass ads on the computer or smartphone or tablet when, on the other hand, we have television and satellite where we have zero way of blocking those ads. other than just changing the channel while the ad break is on, which is a very common practice if you grew up in the 90s or earlier. Oh, what's the second channel on the memory? That's the one you're going to check when an ad break comes on. So I guess technically we did skip ads. We would just change the channel. Great point. Hadn't considered that. Next comment comes from Andrew, and he says, a lot of YouTube creators make their steady paychecks off of something else. Like if I heard Bandrew Scott was in collaboration with a company to help create a mixer with built-in processing with plugins designed or co-designed by Bandrew Scott, I would buy it in a heartbeat, and you would receive steady checks. Andrew, thank you very much for the comment. I really do appreciate it. You hit the nail right on the head. This is why content creators diversify their income streams, because one income stream can dry up. It's why you see content creators who have the dynamic YouTube ads, why they do host-read ads, why they do collaborations with companies on products. It's why they have merch, why they have memberships, Patreons, why they sell courses. It's why they do everything, because these income streams are unreliable and they are very dynamic. Very big variances from month to month, and if you're trying to survive on it, it's difficult to do. Even with a product, like you're suggesting here, having a collaboration with a company, I don't think that would lead to steady checks unless I became an employee of that company. Because just like with affiliate sales, just like with views, sales will go up and down. Views will go up and down. If I'm selling a product, people may buy a bunch of them month 1, month 2, 0 people buy it, month 3, 1 million people buy it, month 4, 500,000 people, month 5, 6, 0, 0, 0, 2 people, 5, so on and so forth. So I think the real ticket to having steady and safe income on the internet as a content creator is to diversify and have multiple income streams. Advertisements, if you want to go that route, value for value, merchandise, brand deals, whatever you want to do. I would love to do I don't know who it would be with, and I don't know if I could ethically do it, because I don't think I'd ever be able to actually review one of their products after I collaborated with them on a development of a microphone or something. But that would be amazing in some way, shape, or form. SEV7, SM7B, don't mind if I do. What else? U87? No, let's not do the U87. Let's do the KM184. I really enjoyed that microphone a lot. I'll do those 3. Or the Beyerdynamic M160. The Bandrew Dynamic M160. Beyerdynamic, hit me up, boys. And girls, let's do it. All right. That is it for what you had to say, but I do have a few thank yous. First, TJ, he says, I've always found it far easier to pay for content when I'm able to directly support the creator. Thanks for all you do, Bandrew. TJ, thank you very much for the super thanks, and this is something that I have been trying to do as well. For a while, I didn't have the disposable income to support all the content creators that I wanted. Recently, I subscribed or became a member for as many as I could in the audio realm because I like what a lot of these creators are doing. I want to support that. If there's a content creator that I like and they don't have memberships engaged or enabled, I will try to give them a super thanks if that's available, or if they are live streaming, I will give them a super chat. So I am trying to do this as well, because if I enjoy the content, if I get value out of it, I am trying to return that value back to them. Really appreciate you, TJ. Thank you so much. Next, we have a super thanks from Liberty Dude, and he says, I have been telling you for a couple of years to add the join button to the BSP channel. It isn't my fault that you hate supporters. It would be wonderful if audio gear reviewers would stop talking about politics and religion, which is quite different than having an opinion on a specific political type issue that impacts the audio creator space. Liberty Dude, thank you so much for the super thanks. And I do want to address the membership, the join button on the BSP channel. There is a very specific reason why I have not engaged it on this channel. In my mind, it would create another obligation. It would make this channel, make this podcast more of a job. I know a lot of the supporters would be perfectly fine if I skipped a month, or not skipped a month, skipped a week. I'm going to take a month off. No, if I skipped a week or missed a week, they would be fine with it. But in my head, I don't like doing that. I always feel guilty. With Podcastage, when I miss a video or when a video is subpar or just trash, I feel guilty because people are supporting the channel. I understand supporters would be perfectly fine with that, but to me, it adds this additional burden that I have to do it. There's 10 times more obligation to do it because there are people paying me directly to do that. That's what the monthly membership to me means, and I don't want that level of stress or pressure for the podcast, so I left it off. YouTube hounds me to turn it on every time I sign in to upload the show or check the comments. Hey, you're really close to turning on memberships. Why don't you do it? And I don't, because I want this to still be a carefree, nice, calm, relaxing way to spend my Sundays because I ran out of time during the weeks and now I don't have time to do it during the week, so I lost my weekends again because now I just fill up my entire week with more work. Everything's fine. So that's why I haven't turned on the join button, the memberships. But the super thanks is there, and I do appreciate you for submitting that. Really does mean a lot. And the final thanks I have to give is to TechMed Rainer Richter. He says, Donka, hi Bandrew. So this time my thank you comes before having listened to your podcast. But for me, this is totally fine because my support is not just for one special video, but for your entire oeuvre. Oeuvre? Oeuvre? I should learn French. I don't know how to say that. Oeuvre. I think that's it. You're very helpful to many, many people, not let alone myself. And at the same time, you're entertaining as well. Rainer is an absolute legend, and I have to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for the continued support of this podcast, of the Podcastage channel, of everything that I do. You are incredible and super generous, and it really does not go unnoticed. It means the world to me. So thank you so much. You are an absolute legend. And that is actually it for this week's episode. I didn't pull any Ask Bandrews. I wanted to have more of a comment-focused section because we had some really interesting discussions there this week. And that podcast scandal and the TikTok experience, a lot of fun to dive into. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was educational. If you have any questions, feel free to send them in. AskBandrew.com. AskBandrew.com. I will get to them in the coming weeks. And that's it. I appreciate you coming by. I appreciate you watching, listening. You are incredible. I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will talk at you. I love you. Bye-bye. Whoop. Boop.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.